Sometimes childhood never comes, not because it was stolen, but because you were forced to survive earlier than you should have. At 7 years old, you already understand that a smile can be a shield and silence can be a weapon. You learn to hide your fear and joy because the adults around you cannot handle those emotions. And somewhere in your small mind, an ancient mechanism clicks. If I don't take responsibility, no one will. This is how the invisible child forms. They don't disappear, but they become quiet, careful, and unnoticed. They watch, learn, and adapt. The world praises them for being mature, and they praise themselves for surviving. No one asks, "Are you okay?" No one asks, "What do you need?" Because no one saw how hard it was to be a small adult. When a child takes care of adults, psychologists call this parentification. The child becomes a caregiver, therapist, peacemaker, protector. Their brain rewires, creating hypervigilance, a constant scan for danger, a habit of walking on eggshells, a readiness for emotional storms. They learn, my needs are dangerous, and others' needs are urgent. The inner child doesn't disappear, but it loses its voice. In its place grows the good child, quiet, obedient, successful, always ready to help. But deep inside, something hurts. The inner child screams silently. Why didn't anyone protect me? These cries remain invisible, but they shape adult life. Adults who can do everything except care for themselves. Adults who can give love but are afraid to receive it. Adults who are strong but fear softness. Adults who are independent but fear being a burden. Why does a child take on this role? Because survival is more important than everything else. Children are willing to sacrifice themselves for attachment. This is not weakness, it is strategy. And the child decides, if I become strong, if I stay silent, if I keep everything under control, I won't be abandoned. This choice saves them then, but leaves a wound for life. Years pass. The child grows into an adult who knows how to hide pain, manage everyone else's emotions, fix problems, and always appear strong. Perfectionism becomes a survival tool because only achievement feels like worth. Independence becomes a shield because accepting help feels dangerous. Trust feels risky. Joy feels unfamiliar and even unsafe. Calm feels suspicious, and love feels like a debt that must be repaid. These patterns are not personality traits, they are survival strategies, learned, conditioned, and reinforced by early life experiences. The adult carries them everywhere, in friendships, romantic relationships, at work, even in quiet moments alone. They overfunction, overcompensate, overthink. They apologize for crying, feel uneasy with compliments, and mistake exhaustion for success. But there is hope. There is always a way to reclaim the lost child inside. Not to erase the past, but to stop living in it. To give that inner child the care, attention, and validation they were denied. To say you didn't deserve this. You were just a child. You can rest now. You can play. You can cry. You can be seen. Shadow work is not magic or a quick fix. It requires attention, patience, and courage. It asks you to face the abandoned, ashamed, scared, and angry parts of yourself. It asks you to grieve the birthdays no one celebrated, the innocence lost while protecting others, the moments of loneliness that shaped your survival. This grief is not weakness. It is proof that healing is happening. Adults who grew up too fast often find themselves acting as therapists for everyone else while hiding their own struggles. They are praised for independence while secretly terrified of being a burden. They manage, explain, fix, and care for others constantly, yet feel resentment or emptiness. Boundaries feel like betrayal. Saying no feels wrong. But these are learned patterns, not fixed traits, and they can be unlearned. The key is to stop idolizing strength and start honoring your wounds. One of the most powerful ways to begin healing is to speak to your inner child. Ask yourself, what did I need back then that I never received? The answers may be simple yet profound. I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to ask how I was doing. I needed to play, rest, and laugh without fear. Gradually, you can start giving these things to yourself, not to erase the past, but to stop reliving it. This process teaches you to stop looking for parents in your partners, to stop mistaking anxiety for intuition, and to stop running from the child you were and the adult you are becoming. Healing demands facing everything you've avoided. As Carl Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Shadow work asks you to confront the neglected, the ashamed, the scared, and the angry parts of yourself. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Your maturity was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice. Now you do. You can choose softness. You can choose rest. You can choose to stop managing everyone else's emotions and start honoring your own. This process is not instantaneous. There will be days when you feel like a child again. That is not a setback, it is the point. Let that child come home. Let them cry. Let them play. Let them be seen. You are not broken. You are becoming whole. As you reconnect with your inner child, you begin to notice how your survival patterns show up in adult life. You may overfunction in relationships, always fixing, explaining, or managing. You may feel exhausted yet fear stopping, because rest has always felt unsafe. You may struggle to accept love, compliments, or support, believing deep down that you must earn them. Boundaries may feel foreign or even threatening. Saying no might trigger guilt or anxiety. You may still hide pain behind competence and smiles, afraid that showing vulnerability could bring rejection. These behaviors are not flaws. They are coping strategies you developed to survive. Recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. Part of becoming whole is giving yourself permission to feel, to rest, to cry, to laugh without restraint, to acknowledge that the small child inside you was never weak. They were brave to survive. You do not need to perform or achieve to be worthy. You do not need to fix everyone else before caring for yourself. Gradually, you start to make different choices. You practice self-compassion. You set boundaries not to punish yourself or others, but to honor your needs. You allow joy to enter your life without suspicion. You practice stillness and peace, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. You give yourself permission to play, explore, and experience life fully. This is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. It is about building a life where strength and softness coexist, where independence does not mean isolation, where love is both given and received freely, where your inner child feels seen, safe, and cherished. Becoming whole is a lifelong journey, but every step counts. Each time you honor your feelings, each time you rest, each time you comfort your inner child, you break the old cycle of survival and begin to thrive. You never had a normal childhood, but you have the power to create a healthy, loving, and fulfilling adulthood. Now is the time to reclaim your life. The inner child you once buried is waiting not to be fixed, but to be acknowledged and loved. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about giving yourself what you needed then so that you no longer repeat the old patterns. You can choose softness. You can choose rest. You can choose to feel your emotions fully without fear. You can allow yourself to be seen, to ask for help, and to accept love. These are not signs of weakness, they are acts of courage. There will be days when fear, sadness, or doubt return. That is natural. That is part of the process. On those days, remind yourself the child inside is still with you, and you are learning to care for them. You are learning to nurture, protect, and honor yourself in ways that were never given to you before. True adulthood is not about constant strength, control, or performance. It is about integrating all parts of yourself, the wounded, the joyful, the angry, and the playful, into a whole living being. Strength and softness can coexist. Independence can exist alongside trust. Responsibility can exist alongside joy. Your past shaped you, but it does not define you. You never had a normal childhood, but you have a future that you can create with intention, love, and care. You are allowed to play. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to be yourself fully. This is your opportunity to finally grow up the right way, not through fear or obligation, but through truth, compassion, and connection with your own soul. Your inner child is not lost. They are waiting for you to come home. And now you can take their hand, look into their eyes, and say, I see you. I hear you. I will not leave you. This is the beginning of a life lived fully, gently, and authentically. You are not broken. You are becoming whole.